Hello everyone, I am Parikshit Saikia and welcome to another very exciting session on Unacademy CAT-alyst. Most of you are already aware, the month of December, right? We have started a new initiative, which we believe will help you crack the snap. So every morning 10:30 a.m. we have been solving 100 most important questions for quants. Questions which have repeated multiple times in the past 20 odd years. But today, as we know, tomorrow a lot of you are going to be writing the snap, the first attempt, right? So in this class, it's going to be a special class. We are going to talk about strategies, the tricks, and the things that you need to keep in mind to ensure that you get a call from the top symbiosis institutes after your snap. So stay tuned for the next 15-20 minutes because these are tips and strategies that you definitely do not want to miss if you are writing the snap tomorrow or for that matter January, right? But as always, the first thing I'm going to tell you is give me 5 seconds to ensure that I am streaming live before we get started with today's session. Okay, I think we are streaming live and we are good to start. A small notification at the start, the National Scholarship Test is scheduled on Unacademy, right, this Sunday. So 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. So please make sure that you enroll for the same because there are a lot of Amazon vouchers to be won. And you know what? One of these vouchers could just be meant for you. Okay, now another small notification. So on Unacademy, we have a lot of upcoming batches. There is a beginners batch which starts on Unacademy from the 21st of December. The educators are as mentioned on your screen. Ravi Prakash for LRDI, Shabana for VARC and Bharat Gupta for QA. So in case you are a CAT 2021 aspirant, you might wish to enroll for the same. Remember, you can always get 10% off on the Unacademy subscription and get access to these batches by using this code Parikshit Saikia. So you can just use this code and you will get 10% off on the subscription fee. Remember also tomorrow is snap. So we have a special or a free initiative scheduled for today. Free initiative, right? So these 2 classes which I have scheduled are absolutely free and you can view these classes at 5:30 p.m. today and tomorrow. Remember, last minute questions are very important. I'm going to show you some tricks and tips, 1 hour session each, LR for OMATs. Because you know what? In YouTube, we have just been solving quants. So I want to give you my way, my take on how you should be attempting the LR section. And we are going to solve questions on series, blood relations, direction sense, syllogism and more, which are very, very important when it comes to your snap paper. So remember to catch me live, free session today, 5:30 p.m. So you can just go to my profile Parikshit Saikia and filter on special. You will get these classes. Let's get started. Okay. Now snap 2020, right? Let's talk about it. Now before I talk about the strategies, the tips, let's look at what happened last year. Last year, okay, if you were to get a call from SIBM Pune, I think this is the dream college for most of you. What percentile are we expecting? We are expecting a percentile of around 96. And SCM HRD Pune, 95. Now remember, these are the top 2 colleges and these are the colleges that all aspirants who write the snap aspire for, right? So 95, 96 is what you are targeting. Percentile. Remember, this is the percentile. Snap 2018 also, the percentile cutoff was exactly the same. Snap 2018, okay? Now, except for Snap 2017, the cutoffs were a bit high. In 2017, the cutoffs were around 97 or 97.5 for SIBM Pune and around 96.5 for SCM HRD, okay? So this is 2017, but 2018 and 2019 will exactly be the same, around 96. So whenever you write the snap tomorrow, this is your target. Okay. Now having talked about the targets, let's first talk about what is your strategy and how much should you attempt. Okay. Remember, we are talking about 60 marks and 60 questions. 60 marks, 60 questions, okay? 60 marks, 60 questions, and basically 60 minutes. So 1 minute per question. Now, if I were to go, okay, with the difficulty level of 2019, 2018 and 2017, the last 3 years, okay, what you are targeting is somewhere around 60 to 65% marks. 60 to 65% marks, provided the difficulty level is like the last 3 years. So when I say 60 to 65% marks, how much are we expecting? You are expecting around 40 marks. So your target should be around 40 marks should be your target out of 60. An assumption, the difficulty level, I repeat, is like the previous years, okay, like the last 2-3 years. Remember, the difficulty level might change. It might become really difficult. The cutoff will come down, It might become really easy. The cutoff will go up. But remember, unlike the CAT, here the predictability factor is higher. CAT is known for surprises. We cannot tell you how much should you attempt. But SNAP, more or less, the difficulty level is going to be the same. It's more or less the same. And the cutoffs is going to be hovering around 40 marks. Around 40 marks. 36, 37, 38, around 40. So plus minus 3, it can be, right? Okay. And when I say cutoff, I mean cutoff for the top 2 colleges. Cutoff for the top 2 colleges. Now, having said that, so what you are targeting, remember, you have attempted a few mocks, you have been attempting questions. Now, let's say your accuracy is very high. So if your accuracy is very high, out of the 60 questions, okay, probably you are going to target to solve around 42, 43 questions. That's your target to solve. Remember, a few questions is also going to go wrong. And if your accuracy is low, probably you are going to target around 45, 47, 48 questions, because you know what? You're going to get plenty of questions wrong. Okay. So I think 47 to 48 is way too much number of attempts. If you are good in your attempts, I think this is a fair number of attempts that you should be targeting. Around 40 attempts, around 40 questions, correct, is what your target. Now, having said that, I think the strategy is very important. Now you realize what are you targeting tomorrow. For a lot of you who are targeting your exam tomorrow, this is your target attempts. Because if you attempt 42, 43, around 5, 6 will go wrong. So net, you will get around 37, 38, correct, right? 37, 38, correct. So that's important. Point number 1. So I think you understand what you need to do. Now, first, you know what you need to do. Second, how do you achieve this? How do you achieve this is going to be the second part of this discussion. Okay. Now, remember, I think the 60 minutes is, if you look at the SNAP toppers, right? If you speak to them, they will tell you that one strategy which definitely works is 30, 20, 10. Obviously, last year the minutes were different. So, obviously, the ratio is going to be the same. 30, 20, 10. Now, what do I mean by that? In the first 30 minutes of your paper, okay, just pick up the one-liners. Pick up one-liners. Remember, it's not your CAT. It's not your CAT that you are going to have a lot of tough questions. There's going to be a lot of questions, be it synonyms, be it antonyms, be it Quants one-liners, be it LR one-liners, right? There are going to be a lot of one-liners. So in the first 30 minutes, your focus, and mind you, I repeat, your focus should only be on solving this one-liners. When I say so, it also means, what does it mean? That you are not going to solve comprehension at the start. Reading comprehension, RCs, right, are not going to be solved at the start. It also means, you know what, LR sets. Remember, there are some LR sets where there are 5 questions. You are not going to take them up in the first go. Very, very, very important. Why do I say so? You might be thinking, LR, there are 5 questions underneath the set. Good part is, if I'm able to solve, I get all 5 correct. But think about the other way around. If you spend 3 minutes and at the end of 3 minutes, you realize that you are not able to solve, then you probably have lost 4 precious minutes. You could have solved 4 other questions, right? So first 30 minutes, just pick up the one-liners. And in this 30 minutes, I think your target should be to solve around 22 to 25 questions. 22 to 25 questions. Remember, these are the easiest lot. So first 30 minutes, if you can solve 20 to 25 questions, The remaining 30 minutes, you might not be able to solve so many. Why? Because now whatever you have left are the difficult ones. So first 30 minutes, if 25 might be too big, might even bother some of you, you might get worried. So let's take a reasonable number. I think 22 is a good attempt out here. 22 questions in the first 30 minutes. Remember the one-liners. Having said that, your next 20 minutes, okay, your next 20 minutes, this is your first 30 minutes are over. The next 20 minutes, I would still say pick up questions which you think needs your brain. When I say needs your brain, probably if you have decided that you are good in comprehension, some of you might be good in comprehension. So some of you might be good in RCs, some others might be good in LR. You decide which is your strong area out of the two. You might have attempted a few mocks and now you also know your accuracy. Let's say your RC accuracy has been very low. Let's say it is 50% or probably 55 to 60%. And LR accuracy is 80 to 85% as an example. You know what? The next 20 minutes, you focus on the LR puzzles. You focus on the LR puzzles. Again, remember, this will vary from person to person. Someone who is good in RCs and not good in LR should focus on RC here. So the next 20 minutes, pick up those sets. When I say sets, sets in areas which you are strong at, Remember, and also when you are solving an LR puzzle, I think it is very important that within the first 1 minute, you should be able to judge whether you should continue with the set or discontinue the set. When I say continue, let's say you are being given a circular arrangement. There are 10 people in it. Remember, there have been questions in Snap like this. Circular arrangement, 10 people. Now, after 1 minute are over, you are still not sure whether you can solve this or whether you cannot solve this. You don't know. Probably you need another 2 minutes. I think it is better to leave this question. It is better to leave this question because Snap will have a lot of easy questions which you can solve just within 30-40 seconds. Remember, questions like synonyms and antonyms, there's no point thinking. 20 seconds, 30 seconds, either you know or you don't know. You tick and go to the next. You tick and go to the next. Remember, questions on analytical reasoning. When I say analytical reasoning, these are questions on strengthens the argument, weakens the argument. This definitely you need to attempt by eliminating the answer options. I keep telling, very important that you eliminate the answer options. Okay? If you think there are 2 answer options which are close enough, go ahead. Go ahead and think whatever you think is the best, tick. But if there are, let's say, three answer options, I think it's not sufficient to just tick blindly. Probably you might want to leave that question. Now, what else should you leave in the Snap? Okay, there are some things which I call probably blockers, and definitely the paper setter will give you a few blockers. When I say blockers, these are not questions which are difficult. These are just questions which would take time to solve, right? Now, first, DI. I do not suggest that you solve DI on the Snap paper during your Snap exam. Why? The reason is very simple. DI, if you look at the last 10-20 years DI in the Snap, right? They have been calculation intensive. Remember, there are easier questions than this. Given time, everyone can solve this DI questions. But because they are calculation intensive and because you do not have a calculator, I think it is best to leave out the DI questions at the start. If time permits, you can always go back to them. Second, you know what type of questions you should avoid? Number series. Something like, let's say they give you 5 numbers, 21, 39, 47. You spend dot and then another number blank and another number they give you 117. Just a random example. You know what? Spend 30 seconds, 40 seconds. But definitely do not spend more than 30, 40, 50 seconds in this question. Why? Because these are questions, if you get, you will get it immediately. If you don't get, no matter how much time you spend, there is less chance that you get it. If you get this answer at the end of 2 minutes, this particular answer, it is a waste. The paper setter has achieved his objective. So some of the number series questions are really tough in the Snap. and it's better that you avoid them. Okay, so I think this answers. And third, another one, what, input output questions. I think a lot of you know what I am talking about. Input output questions are questions like, they will give you step 1 and they will ask you what is step 5. Input output. Remember, you need to go from step 1 to step 5 and there are long English sentences. It is very difficult to solve these input output questions within 30, 40, 50 seconds. Again, I would say these are questions which are best left. But let's say there are 5 input output questions, 5 of them. You might not want to leave all 5. But if there are just 1 or 2 of them, I think it's best that you leave those questions. Why? Because you know what? There are easier questions in the snap than this input output. Okay. So remember, so if someone is saying input output, I don't think will come. Remember, none of us can guess anything. Right? So you should be ready for everything. So I think it is important that you keep your overall objective in mind. The last 5 or 10 minutes, you might want to take a few guesses, the last 5 minutes. But again, how many guesses depends on how did you do the paper. If you have already attempted around 37, 38 questions, I don't think it's wise to take guesses. Why? Because you know what? The cutoff will hover around 37, 38, around 40. So it is not wise to take guesses. But let's say you have been able to attempt just 22 questions or probably just 20 questions out of the 60. At this point, the last 5 minutes, you should definitely take a few guesses and tick your answer, especially in verbal. So depending on the number of attempts, you decide whether guesses are required or not required. You get the point? You get this point, right? Okay. The next thing I must tell you is where to start from. Remember, the snap doesn't have sectional cutoff. I am assuming that anyone who watches the video today, okay, has attempted a few snap papers, mock papers. Even if you have not attempted, you know which of the 3 sections you are good at. Are you good at quants? Are you good at LR? Or are you good at verbal? If you ask me, my personal preference and my personal suggestion would be that you should attempt verbal, especially at the last, especially questions like synonyms, antonyms, relationships at the last. Why? Because these are probably 20-second questions. The last 10 minutes, you might want to attempt only verbal. Okay. And the first 50 minutes, you can divide between quants and LR. Why do I say so? Remember, I am talking about exam pressure here. The last moment you see the timer, 6 minutes remaining, 5 minutes remaining, your brain often stops functioning. If you are solving an LR puzzle, most often your hand will shake and you will not be able to tick an answer. You might have experienced that in your CAT. The last 7-8 minutes, it is therefore wise to spend on questions like which of these will strengthen my argument, which of the author's argument is flawed. So such questions, right? Anyway, probably you read it, it's just normal English passage and you are going to tick it. So I think it's going to be a wise decision if you are going to keep verbal for the last few minutes. Remember, verbal is just 15 questions and you probably want to have 10-12 minutes depending on how good is your verbal. Let's say verbal is your strongest area, then definitely do not take a chance and attempt it at the last. Don't do that because it's your strongest area. You won out of the 15 questions, probably 13, 14 correct. So don't do that. But the majority of the students, 80% of the students who will write the snap, okay, for them verbal might not be your strongest area. For them, it is a good option to keep verbal for the last because then even if your hand shakes, it's just about ticking an option which you think is correct. Remember, in quants and LR, your pen has to run and you should actually be able to solve the sum and get an answer. Yes? So I think these are the tips, and I think with this in mind, I think for those of you who are writing the snap tomorrow, you are all set. Remember, 60 questions. Don't keep watching the timer every time, but your target should be somewhere around 40. I'm not saying 40. It will depend definitely on the difficulty level of the paper, but around 40 questions should be your target, plus minus a few. So having said that, I think that's it for now. today evening 5:30 p.m. I'm gonna solve some LR case questions, okay, from the snap papers, some very very important LR questions. So again, as I will repeat, today 5:30 p.m. There are some free classes, 1 hour free classes, but this is not on YouTube, this is on Unacademy, okay, Unacademy. Go to my profile, Parikshit Saikia, and you will get this classes scheduled today for 5:30 p.m. My last classes, I mean before your snap tomorrow. For those of you who are writing the snap in January, we still have time. But for those of you who are writing it tomorrow, I think we are going to solve some very very important case lists today at 5:30 p.m. So make sure that you do attend, okay? Okay then, thank you so much. I hope you liked it. In case you feel that the video has been helpful and you gained something out of it, please do hit the like button, because that's the only way for you to tell that you have enjoyed the session and we should come up with more and more such videos. Thank you so much. I see you today at 5:30 p.m. on Unacademy. In case you have not registered on Unacademy, you can always register as a new user. Okay, using my code Parikshit Saikia, you can register as a first time user. Using a new mobile number, you can always do that, and you can unlock a lot of classes for free. But for that, you need to be a first time user. First time user with a new mobile number, you need to register, and you can get a lot of classes free on Unacademy. Okay, using the code Parikshit Saikia. So anyway, thank you so much, and I'll see you today evening at 5:30 p.m. Goodbye and stay safe. Goodbye.